If the cell is the basic unit of life, it takes trillions of these tiny organisms to sustain human life. Rather than single independent units, cells work in a cooperative fashion, anatomically and/or physiologically linked together. Tissues are a group of cells that are similar in structure and perform a common or related function. This course will begin your exploration of the four primary tissues of the human body: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. Simply stated, epithelial tissue or epithelium is a sheet of cells that cover a body surface or line a body cavity. Epithelium performs several important functions that include protection, absorption, filtration, excretion, secretion, and sensory reception. The anatomy of epithelial cells are specialized to perform its function. One structural commonality that all epithelial cells share is their basic shape. In cross-section, it is revealed that all epithelial cells have 6 somewhat irregular sides that allow the cells to be more closely packed together. The special characteristics of epithelial tissue allow it to perform its functions. Epithelial tissue has cellularity. Cellularity means that its cells are closely packed together. Closely packed cells help provide a cellular protective barrier. But not only are the cells closely packed together, they are physically held tightly together by special membrane-related contacts. These specialized contacts are primarily made up of proteins. Desmosomes are like individual rivets or snaps that hold portions of 2 adjacent plasma membranes together. Desmosomes serve to decrease the chance of tissue tearing when exposed to pulling and shearing forces. Tight junctions are more like integral protein zippers that fuse cells together, decreasing seepage of fluid and other substances between cells. Gap junctions provide opportunity for cells to pass small molecules like water and ions to one another. Gap junctions in adjacent plasma membranes align to form hollow cylinders known as connexons. These connexons allow small molecules to pass from one cell to another. Epithelial tissue also has polarity. Polarity means that the tissue has 2 distinct surfaces. The apical surface is the surface that is exposed to the body cavity or exterior. The basal surface is the surface attached to the underlying tissue. The 2 surfaces are anatomically and physiologically different. The apical surface of some epithelia may present with cilia. Cilia are tiny whip-like extensions that help move substances in the extracellular space. Microvilli are another apical specialization. Microvilli are finger-like projections of the plasma membrane that serve to greatly increase the surface area of a cell that enhances its absorption properties. Epithelial tissue never exists in isolation. It is always firmly attached to connective tissue. Just adjacent to the basal surface is a thin sheet of glycoproteins secreted by the epithelial cells known as the basal lamina. The basal lamina acts as a filter that allows certain substances from the connective tissue to enter the epithelial tissue. The underlying connective tissue secretes a meshwork of proteins called the reticular lamina. The basal lamina and the reticular lamina combine to form the basement membrane that helps resist tearing and serves as a boundary between the epithelial and connective tissues. Epithelium does not have its own blood supply. The delivery of blood is critical to tissues because blood contains the nutrients and raw materials that drive physiological reactions. Blood also serves as the vehicle that carries away most metabolic waste. Epithelium receives its nourishment from its underlying connective tissue. Though epithelium does not have its own blood supply, it does have its own nerve supply. This nervous supply provides epithelium a vehicle to communicate physical and chemical changes to distal portions of the body. Finally, the cells that make up epithelium are highly regenerative. Since epithelial tissue is often in harm's way, facing severe environments and protecting other tissue, these cells are prone to damage and therefore must have a steady supply for replacement. Therefore, epithelial cells are highly mitotic. Epithelial tissue is classified by the arrangement and shape of its cells. Simple epithelial consists of a single layer of cells. Therefore, in simple epithelial, every cell is in contact with the basement membrane. Generally, epithelial cells present in three different basic shapes: squamous, a flattened disc shape; cuboidal, a box shape where the cells are as tall as they are wide; and columnar, in which the cells are taller than they are wide. Though the single layers of cells do provide protection, simple epithelium is more specialized for absorption, secretion, and filtration. Stratified epithelia is characterized by two or more cell layers stacked upon one another. Stratified epithelia is specialized for protection, especially in areas of high abrasion like the skin and the mouth. Columnar tissue often appears as stratified, but is indeed simple. These tissues are referred to as pseudostratified. In reality, all cells are attached to the basement membrane. However, some cells are taller than others. Only the tallest cells reach the free or apical surface of the epithelium. Transitional epithelia lines organs that expand when filled with contents, like the bladder. In transitional epithelia, cells in the lower levels tend to be cuboidal or columnar. The apical cells vary in shape as the organ is stretched. Some epithelial cells are specialized as unicellular exocrine glands. A gland is one or more cells that make and release or secrete a product. Therefore, secretion is a two-step process in which first the cell obtains substances from the extracellular environment, transforms them into specific chemical substances, and second, discharges the substance from the cell. An exocrine gland secretes its substance onto the body surface or into a body cavity. We will revisit glandular epithelia when we explore the integumentary system.